as you may or may not be aware, we store our memories in some kind of order. We have to, don't we? Because otherwise, how do we know that one particular memory is of an event further back in the past than another? We must store them in some kind of order. Likewise, how do we distinguish between something that happened in the past and something that's likely to happen in the future? Because we'll have mental images and sounds perhaps and feelings associated with things that happened in the past. These are our memories. And we'll have some kind of representation, some kind of mental representation of things that we expect to happen in the future. But we can distinguish between something that's actually happened and something that hasn't happened yet. So we must store them in some kind of order. And we call this a timeline. Obviously, things like Facebook have made timelines, brought them to people's awareness, and you'll store your memories in some kind of timeline. You'll have your own personal timeline. Now, how can this be useful to us? Well, if we think about memories stored as pictures, let's say in a slideshow, and you've got your slides all slotted in one after the other. Now, as you, in your mind's eye, if you go back along your timeline, you can actually have a look at each individual slide, each individual representation or memory as you go back along your timeline. And you can examine things that have occurred in the past, maybe. You can examine the memories that you've got of that particular thing. And just purely through the exercise of examining that memory, it's possible to actually change the memory. Because, as Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a mind that's stretched to a new idea never regains its original dimension. So, just by going back and examining the memories can actually have a knock-on effect on all of the slides, all of the memories back to now, and have a positive impact on now. If you think about things that happen in the past, we store up negative emotions, don't we? Some of us store up anger, and some of us store up sadness and fear and hurt and guilt, these negative emotions. We store them up because things happened to us in the past that aren't particularly positive for us. And this leaves us with a feeling, a negative emotion. And unless we resolve these negative emotions, then it can impact us on how we are in our day-to-day lives. We might keep getting angry or keep getting sad or fearful. So by going back along your timeline as a mental exercise can actually help you release these negative emotions. Do you think that might be useful for you? This works, and this works every time, so this is useful to people. Now, my timeline, I discovered my timeline not because I knew that, I don't know for sure. If somebody said, think of something that happened 6 months ago, and I'll think about it, and you might have noticed that my eyes shot off there to my left, your right as you're looking at me. I think about this thing and it comes to me as a memory. Now, I don't consciously think, oh yeah, it came from over there, but I've got an inkling that it did come from over there. If I think of something that happened to me 5 years ago, then again, it comes from over there, but it comes from further away over there. If I think about something that happens in the future, that I expect to happen in the future, I just get an inkling that it's coming from over there. And so my timeline goes from my left to my right, past, future. If you had a similar timeline, yours would be past, future. I just get an inkling, and that's what we're after. That's what we're after. And for some people, for example, for one of my clients, I said, talking to him about timelines, and I said, oh yeah, everybody stores time in some kind of line in their minds. And he said, well, I can't figure out I don't really know where my memories are coming from. I said, well, okay, so think about something that happened a year ago. He said, yeah. He said, I just don't know. I can't think. I don't think it comes from anywhere in particular. And obviously, it was coming from back there. I said, think about something that might happen in the future. How do you picture yourself? He played golf. Picture yourself holing a putt. And he's like, yeah, I can see it. It was over there. So his line was right through him. Right through him. I said, come think about now. Where's now? He said, here, I'm in now. And generally that's what you find. You find that people's timelines are either out in front of them, or they go through them with the future in front and the past behind. Really interesting, isn't it? Well, let's think about your particular timeline now. Let's think about your particular timeline. So if I say to you, think, and again, I'm not saying you're going to know this consciously, but you'll get an inkling. So think about something that happened in the past. Think about something that happened 6 months ago. Think about that and just notice, where did that memory come from? Where did it seem to come from? And point in that direction. Okay, great. So, thank you. How about something that happened about a year ago? Think of something that happened about a year ago. Just notice as you do that, where that particular memory came from. Point in that direction. Yeah, and something that happened, think about something now that happened 5 years ago. Notice where that memory came from. Point in that direction. Okay, thanks. Something that happened now, way back, say 15 years ago. If you can think of something that happened 15 years ago, say, roughly around about that time, or way back. And just notice where that memory comes from. Just notice where that comes from. And can you point in that direction? Yeah. Great. You might need to do this with your eyes closed, but you could do it with your eyes open. Think about something now. Think about something that's you'd expect to happen in the future, say in 6 months' time, roughly 6 months' time. Think about something that might happen then. And notice where that thought comes from, which direction it comes to you from. Point in that direction. You probably notice that this is a different direction from the memories of the things that happened in the past. It might be the same direction, but it might be either nearer to you or further away from you. Think about something now that might happen, that you'd expect to happen in a year's time. Notice where that comes to you from. And something that might happen to you in 5 years' time. Yeah, and point in that direction, point in the direction of the memory. Yeah. Okay, so think about now, think about the present moment. Whereabouts is that located? Now, notice that you could actually draw a line, some kind of line, between the destinations that you pointed at. It might have a kink in it, but you'll be able to draw some kind of line. And that's your timeline. So by working with this knowledge, working with this picture that you have in your mind's eye of your timeline, and working with the memories, we can eliminate any negative emotions that you might have surrounding memories that you've got of the past. And this also works for the future as well. So let's say you want to make a really empowering, powerful goal for yourself, create a really clear vision for yourself, something that you can really believe in and get involved in. Then you can actually travel out along your timeline into your future and place mental images, place visions into your timeline, into the future. This can be really powerful and really motivational. And these are all things that we cover during our NLP trainings. So I really hope that you can join us on one of them.